You are sitting on a wooden bench at the edge of an old orchard, and the afternoon light is the color of warm honey, falling through the branches in long, unhurried ribbons. The bench beneath you is smooth from years of weather and rest, its wood pale and soft-grained, and you can feel the slight give of it under your weight, the way it holds you gently, the way it has held many quiet afternoons before this one. The air around you carries the smell of ripe apples and damp earth and something faintly sweet, like leaves that have been warming in the sun all day, and you breathe it in slowly, letting it settle through you the way the light settles through the trees. The orchard stretches out ahead of you in long, gentle rows, the trees old and wide-trunked, their bark a deep grey-brown that is soft to look at, covered here and there with patches of pale lichen the colour of sea foam. The leaves are turning, many of them already gold and amber and a deep, burnished copper, and they catch the afternoon light so that the whole orchard seems to glow from within, as though each tree is holding a small, quiet fire. Some of the leaves have already come down and lie in soft drifts around the roots of the trees, and when the faintest breath of air moves through the branches, a few more let go and drift downward in slow, wandering spirals, turning once or twice before they come to rest on the ground. You notice the apples still hanging in the trees nearest to you, round and heavy, their skins a deep red fading to yellow at the base, and they hang in small clusters among the golden leaves like lanterns left out from some gentle, forgotten occasion. The branches dip slightly under their weight, curving downward in long, easy arcs, and the whole tree has a settled, unhurried look, as though it has been standing in this particular place for a very long time and is entirely content to go on doing so. The warmth of the sun reaches you through the canopy in patches, moving slowly across your hands and your arms as the branches above you shift almost imperceptibly in the air, and the warmth is soft and even, not the sharp heat of summer but something gentler, more like the warmth of a room that has been quietly heated all day. You feel it on your face and on the backs of your hands, and it is pleasant in the way that simple, unhurried things are pleasant, without needing to be anything more than what it is. Somewhere deeper in the orchard, a wood pigeon is calling, its voice low and repetitive and very calm, the same 4 notes cycling over and over in a soft, unhurried loop, and the sound of it seems to belong entirely to this place, to this particular quality of afternoon light and cool, apple-scented air. You listen to it without trying to locate it, letting the sound come and go as it pleases, and after a while it becomes part of the background of the afternoon, like the faint rustle of leaves and the distant, barely audible sound of a stream somewhere beyond the far edge of the orchard. You look down at the ground near your feet, where the grass is long and soft and still faintly green beneath the scattered leaves, and you can see the small, intricate patterns of the fallen leaves overlapping one another, their edges curled slightly inward, their colors layered from bright gold on top to a deeper, darker amber where they have been lying longer. A small beetle makes its way slowly across